everyone, my name is Millie. Welcome to my channel, and today we're going to be doing my makeup. The first step is always primer. A lot of people emphasize skincare beforehand, but honestly, I don't really know much about that, so I don't really bother with it much. Since I'm doing like heavy duty full face, I usually do like 1.5 pumps of it, and I literally just put it really around my eyes because that's where I'm going to be putting the most of my makeup, but I also put some around my nose, my chin, and my eyelids. Then while it's drying, I go ahead and I do my lips. I think that might be kind of an odd choice, but it personally helps me figure out how harsh or how light I need to go with the rest of the makeup so that it all ties together. So I just plop that on and then I blend out the edges with my fingers. And then I begin on my base with concealer. This one was like $2, I don't know. I have another, but I still haven't run out of this one yet, so I'm still using it. So I do the placement generally around, mostly under my eyes, but then also everywhere else. And then I just blend it out with my fingers. I know a lot of people use like a fancy blending tool, but honestly I'm not doing all that. So it works fine for me. You just have to make sure that you like get in the under eyes and make sure there's no like weird gaps. And if I have excess on my fingers, I put it on my eyelids as a primer. If there's more than I want there to be, I just take a piece of toilet paper and I kind of like dab it around the edges, and that helps with it. Then my next step is this powder thing. You see I've made quite a dent in it, and the concealer in person really doesn't look that good. So I just take this fluffy brush and I really just pack it in there, basically everywhere that I put the concealer, especially on the under eyes. And then with the excess, I just dust it off with the eyelids, and it just helps everything to not be super shiny, and I feel like it also helps create an even base. Yay! So after that, it is time for blush. Woo! I love this palette. It's shade 3. And I've made another large dent in the cream portion, which is what I start with. So I just use that as almost a base for where I want to put my blush. And I put it on my cheeks, nose, a little bit on the chin. And then after the cream blush is blended in, then I take my big fluffy brush and I tap between the most pinkish shades, and I put that on there, but not too much because I'll add more later. It really is a beginning of the blush for me. Next, I add a little bit of nose contour, though I wouldn't really say contour, it's more just like defining that I have a nose. I just use this little fluffy brush and then some of the lightest brown eyeshadow from this Flower Nose palette. I really focus on the tip of the nose because I don't need to do much where the bridge is. And so I mainly use that lighter shade. I used a little bit of the dark one here, but then I felt like it was too dark. So I went over it with like that powder to try and even it out. So you can see me kind of messing with that there a little bit. Then it is finally time to begin the eye makeup. So I start with this like peachy shade from this Bia palette. I just use this little tiny brush and I pack it in all, especially on the under eye as a base. But then I also drag a little bit up to just my eyelid. And then for my eyeshadow, I use a combination of this light pink and darker pink. So with the light pink, I put it on the inner part of my eyelid mostly, and then with the darker pink I put it on the outer corner, and I kind of try and blend the two together. I'm not really that good at it. I'm not like a makeup artist, but whatever, it works. And I know it looks a mess right now, but don't worry because we will clean it up. And also with the dark pink, I do kind of drag that one into my under eye as well. Okay, so this palette I took from my mom, so I really don't know where it came from, how much it cost, but I just take this lightest shade, I really pack it into that brush, and I do kind of a C shape around my eyelid, and I really just slap it on there, and somehow it works to help clean up my messy eyeshadow. So you know, if it works, it works. Now it's time for the aegyosal or namida bukuro, whatever you want to call it. I just take the dark red shade and then that light brown and I kind of mix them together. And then when you smile, you can see the lines pop up. At this point, I know where they are, so I don't really need to smile that much, but you can probably find it pretty easily. And I just draw that on there. It looks crazy for a moment, but don't worry because we are going to blend it out. Then I switch to this like fluffier version of the brush and I take that same dark pink but I mix it with the light pink and then it's like I blend upwards from the line, not covering the whole under eye, but like a good chunk of it. And then like here I go back with that first brush to kind of redefine the line again, just to make sure it's like there. Here comes the best part of the under eye. I take this brush and then this like very light shade very close to my skin tone, and then I use that to carve out the shape that I want. So I do that really focusing on the center where it's right under my eye, but then I also kind of blend it out to the inner corner and a little bit to the edge. And I also use it to clean up the underneath of the eye because sometimes the line can get a little messy, and so that just helps it stay contained. Then it is time for my eyeliner. I use the Canmake creamy eyeliner, whatever, in the like dark brown shade. I love it. However, I have heard that it's not good if you have oily eyelids, so I would look into other options if that applies to you. But basically, once I contain my nerves, I try and draw downward. Usually the first eye goes fine, but then the second one is trouble. And then matching them is the mess, but that goes for any eyeliner style, so I don't think that's really dry specific. And if I want to correct something, then I use this other canmake product. It's supposed to be for like your aegyosal, but honestly it didn't really work for me like that. So I use it as kind of an eraser for my eyeliner. Then to extend my eyelid as a kind of way to match the eyeliner, I use this like red version of the canmake eyeliner, and I really just do a little bit. And again, when I have mistakes with that, then I correct it with the aegyosal pencil. It's just a little bit of trying to make it match, not anything crazy for me. And then just for fun, I take this dark red from that and this same fluffy brush, but I only coat the one side with the red. And then I just try and like kind of blend it in with the rest of the eye look because I think that's fun and it kind of makes it look like it's supposed to be like a stylistic thing. So it's like double trouble, you know. And at this point, I may notice that there's like little gaps in the eyeshadow, so I take that same tiny fluffy brush and I just fill those in. Finally, it's time for blush again. So this time I take this brush and I use the one side for the two dark pinks and I really pack that on there. And then with the other side, I use it for the two lighter pinks and I use it to kind of blend out the edges. But then I also take that same fluffy brush from the start with the powder, and I use that for the lightest shade to really just brighten up my look overall, and I think that kind of ties in all the pinks together. Then to tie in the eyeliner with the rest of the eye, I take this sharp brush and I use that same dark red from earlier and I just put it on the edge there close to the waterline. And I also take a slightly lighter red to kind of blend it out. Mascara! Eek! Eek! So this one's like double-sided, so you're supposed to use the white part as like a primer, and then the black one is like the actual mascara. So I don't really know what that's supposed to do, but here I am putting the white part on, and then while that's drying, I use the black part for my lower lashes. This is probably the scariest part of my makeup, honestly. Like, it's just scary to me. I use like the tip of the mascara wand to get those lashes, and you have to take your time with it and just move side by side, and they'll kind of clump up together in that shape that you want with dry makeup. But you can also pinch it together with your hands. Just make sure that they're clean, because sometimes I'll have like specks of mascara on my hands already, and then I'll smudge it onto my eyelash. In this clip, I did mess up a little bit, but I got really lucky and it wasn't that noticeable when I have the lashes on, so I didn't really bother with it much. But usually if I do mess up, then I cover it up with more eyeshadow and glitter when I do that step. But if that's not enough, then I use a little bit of water and I try and scrape it off. Then for the real mascara upper lashes, I just do my best and put that on there, and then to get the spiky look, once I have it coated first, I move like the wand side to side, so it automatically kind of clumps the lashes together to start with, and then I secure those by clumping it with my fingers. And sometimes you have to kind of go back and forth, but with enough patience, you get it. Also, note that in this video, the mascara I'm using is kind of old and drying out. I've switched to a new one now, and it is just so much faster. So I hope that you guys will have better luck with this than I was having in this clip. Then, if I'm feeling like the lower lashes don't look full enough, I take this really, really thin flower nose eyeliner and I draw some on. I really don't do a lot, just some tiny little lines to try and like thicken it up a little bit. And they don't have to be exactly nice either, because I can cover it up with some more powder and glitter. Here I'm just touching up my blush a little more and powder, and then I also use this spoolie to just kind of brush my eyebrows in the right direction, because some days they're a bit messy, even though you don't really see them through my bangs. Highlighter time! And so I take this new little brush that I haven't used in this video yet, but I use this glitter from the Flower Nose palette I used earlier, and I put that on my under eye, and if I have mistakes with like my mascara or my drawn on lashes, then I try and really slap it on that part to cover it up a little bit more. And once again in this video I got lucky, but it really just depends on the day. Shimmery one that I put all around the inner part of my eyeshadow. I try and also kind of drag it up to the top for like that Douyin highlight look almost, but I don't think it really comes across that way. I don't care though, it's still fun. And then I also use this chunky glitter, and I just put that more on the center of my eyes. I try and make sure that it shows even when my eyes are open. And then I also take this golden shimmer type thing from this Canmake palette. It's like a palette where you pick out your own shades and assemble it yourself. So you'll probably just want to check on the website and see whichever one I'm using, because I don't really know. But I use that in the inner corner and also on the nose. I just do a little dot, kind of like an exclamation point type style. And then I also use like a bigger fluffy brush type thing to just have that shimmer on the cheeks. And that is it for my makeup. So I just finish it off with some setting spray, maybe some more powder if I feel like it, but it doesn't really matter. And then I am ready to go after I do my hair and everything else. So here's the finished look. If you have any advice, then feel free to share, but just please be polite as always. But I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video, and I hope to release some more soon, so stay tuned. Feel free to hit that subscribe button if you're new, and if you're not new, then feel free to leave a comment and a like or whatever. I don't care. Just have fun. Bye!